Welcome to Changfied YouTube channel, your trusted source for latest update across South Sudan and beyond. Well, in this report, we will look at a new development in the ongoing court case involving first by President Dr. Machar and several other accused individuals. One of the co-accused has now appeared before the court and shared his account of how he was arrested in Juba. His testimony has drawn attention because of the question he raised about the way the arrest was carried out. Let us take a closer look at what happened. Before we proceed, please, I would like you to help the channel by subscribing, turn on the notification bell, so whenever we upload a new video, you can be notified. Let's continue. A member of South Sudan National Legislative Assembly appeared in court on Monday and spoke about the event that led to his arrest in March of last year, 2025. The lawmaker, Gadwich Lampoj, is one of the people facing charges in connection with the fighting that took place in Nasser County in Upper Nile State. During his testimony, he explained to the court that he was arrested by officers from the National Security Service while he was in Juba. According to Gadwich Lampoj, the incident happened on March 11, 2025. He said he was driving along Pope Francis Road in the capital city, Juba, when the security officer stopped his vehicle. He told the court that the officer approached him, but they did not show him an arrest warrant. The lawmaker said he immediately asked the officers whether they had legal authorization to arrest him. According to his testimony, one of the officers responded by saying that they did not have an arrest warrant. Gadwich Lampoj reminded the officer that he was a member of parliament and that parliamentary immunity offered constitutional protection to lawmaker. However, he said the officer dismissed his consent. He told the court that one of the officers informed him that immunity would not prevent the arrest from taking place. Despite his objection, the lawmaker said he chose not to resist. Gadwich Lam explained that he wanted to avoid creating tension or conflict during the encounter. Instead, he cooperated with the officers and followed their instruction. According to his statement before the court, the officer collected his personal belongings, including mobile phone, identity document, and other items that he had with him. He said these belongings were taken before he was moved into another vehicle. The lawmaker described how he was removed from his own car and placed inside a security minibus. He told the court that he was seated between two army men carrying assault rifles. He said the experience was frightening and serious. He also explained that his car keys were taken by security personnel during the arrest. As the vehicle moved toward its destination, Gadwich Lampoj said another incident took place. According to his testimony, one officer attempted to cover his eye with a blindfold. However, he said another officer objected to the idea and the blindfold was not used. The lawmaker later arrived at the headquarters of the National Security Service, commonly known as in South Sudan as the Blue House. He said he was then placed in detention. During his testimony, Gadwich Lampoj reflected on what he described as the practical effect of certain provision found in the National Security Service Act. His remark appeared to suggest concern about how those legal provisions are applied during arrest and detention. Let's look at the background to the case. The court proceedings are part of a larger and highly watched legal case involving several prominent individuals. Gadwich Lampoj is one of 8 defendants facing serious charges linked to the violence that occurred in Nasser County in Upper Nile State during March 2025. The charges include treason, crime against humanity, murder, terrorism, and destruction of property. The prosecution argued that army group connected to the Sudan People Liberation Army in a position working together with fighters from the Nuer Army attack a military base belonging to the South Sudan People Defense Forces. According to prosecutor, many soldiers lost their life during the fighting. The prosecution further alleged that military equipment worth millions of dollars was either destroyed or taken during the attack. The court has not yet reached a final decision regarding these accusations. The legal process is continuing, and all defendants remain presumed innocent until proven guilty in accordance with the law. Among those facing charges is First Vice President Dr. Machar. Other individual names in the case include Port Kang Chol, Mampaldur, Lieutenant General Gabriel Doblam, Camilo Michael, Madeng Yakrik, Dominic Gokrik, and Gadwich Lampoch himself. At present, Dr. Machar remains under house arrest, while several of the other accused individuals continue to be held by National Security Service. Many South Sudanese citizens are following this case closely because of its political importance. The proceedings come at a time when the country is working toward implementing the peace agreement and preparing for future election. Political observers believe that the outcome of this case could have an impact on the country's political environment. Supporters of the accused argue that the legal process must be fair and transparent. Others emphasize the importance of accountability and justice for victims of violence. For many citizens, the key concern is whether the judicial process will be conducted independently and according to the rule of law. Questions have also been raised about the treatment of detainees, parliamentary immunity, and the balance between national security and constitutional protection. These are issues that continue to generate discussion both inside and outside South Sudan. After hearing the testimony, the presiding judge, James Alala Deng, announced that the proceeding would continue later in the week. The court session was adjourned until Wednesday, June 17. Gadwei Lampoch is expected to return to the witness stand to continue presenting his defense. Many people will be watching closely to see what additional detail emerge during the next hearing. As this important trial continue, South Sudanese citizens and members of international community remain attentive to the development inside the courtroom. The testimony held this week has provided new insight into the experience of one of the accused individuals. However, the case is still ongoing and many questions remain unanswered. The court will ultimately determine the outcome after reviewing all evidence and hearing from all parties involved. We will continue to follow this story and bring you updates as they become available. Well, in our second major story today, we turn our attention to South Sudan preparation for the country planned general election. The National Election Commission has announced important new steps as the nation moves closer to the expected voting period. These developments include the launch of a nationwide voter education campaign and the acquisition of a permanent headquarters for the commission. The announcement comes during a period of political uncertainty, growing public interest, and increasing questions about whether the country will be ready to hold election as planned. Let us take a closer look at the latest development. The National Election Commission officially launched a civic and voter education program across South Sudan on Monday. The campaign is expected to take place in all 10 states as well as the country's 3 administrative areas. According to election officials, the purpose of the program is to help citizens better understand the electoral process and encourage participation in future voting activities. Speaking during a press conference in Juba, the chairperson of the National Election Commission, Professor Abenego Akok Kashol, described the initiative as an important part of election preparation. He explained that voter education helps citizens understand their rights and responsibilities during election. It also provides information about how election work, why participation matters, and how voters can make informed decisions. The Commission believes that improving public understanding of the process will contribute to a more inclusive and transparent election. One of the major announcements made during the press conference was that the government had released financial support for the voter education program. According to the Commission, $6 million United States dollars have been provided to support the exercise. Election officials described this funding as a positive sign of the government commitment to the planned electoral process. The Commission stated that these resources will be used to organize educational activities, distribute information material, and conduct awareness campaigns throughout the country. Officials say the goal is to ensure that citizens from different regions have access to information about the election process. For many observers, the release of funding represents an important step toward making election preparation possible. However, some analysts note that additional resources may still be required to complete all necessary activities before voting can take place. Another major development announced by the National Election Commission was the acquisition of a permanent headquarters. According to Professor Abenego Akok Kashol, the former Aida Hotel building in Juba has now become the official home of the commission. He described this achievement as historic for the institution. For many years, the commission operated without a permanent facility of its own. Election officials believe that having a dedicated headquarters will strengthen the commission's ability to carry out its responsibilities more effectively. Professor Kashol said the building would serve not only the current leadership of the commission, but also future generations. He emphasized that the headquarters represents a lasting investment in South Sudan democratic institutions. According to Commission, the total value of the property is approximately $6.5 million United States dollars. Officials explained that a significant portion of the payment has already been completed, while the remaining amount will be paid according to the term of the agreement reached with the seller. The Commission also stated that ownership rights have already been transferred. Election experts often describe civic and voter education as one of the foundations of a successful electoral process. Many citizens, especially first-time voters, may have questions about registration procedures, voting requirements, and the role of elected representatives. Educational campaigns can help address these questions. They can also encourage peaceful participation and reduce misunderstanding about the voting process. In a country preparing for election, voter education is often viewed as a way to strengthen public confidence in democratic institutions. South Sudan's commission hopes that this nationwide program will contribute to greater awareness and participation among citizens. Despite the positive development announced during the press conference, election officials acknowledged that significant challenges remain. One of the biggest concerns is time. Professor Kashol explained that only a limited period remains before the planned election. As a result, the Commission is working under considerable pressure to complete the necessary preparation. Activities such as voter registration, training of election staff, distribution of material, and public awareness campaign all require careful planning and coordination. With time moving quickly, election officials have stressed the importance of continued support from relevant institutions. The Commission also revealed that proposals have been made to amend certain part of the electoral framework. According to Professor Kashol, this proposed change could reduce the amount of time required for specific election activities. For example, adjustment could be made to the period allocated for voter registration and political campaigning. Supporters of this proposal argue that shorter timeline may help ensure that election can take place within the available period. However, any change to election law often require careful consideration and broad consultation. Observers note that balancing efficiency with fairness remains an important priority. Security is another important issue of the country as the country moves closer to elections. The Commission announced that an election security committee has already been established. This committee includes representatives from the National Election Commission, the Police Service, and the United States Nation. Its responsibility is to assess conditions across different parts of the country and identify potential challenges that could affect the electoral process. A peaceful and secure environment is considered essential for free and credible election. Many citizens hope that all stakeholders will work together to promote stability during this important period. In recent months, questions have been made regarding the type of election that may eventually take place. Some report and discussion have suggested that only a presidential election could be organized. However, The commission dismissed these claims. Professor Casual stated that preparations are being made for a general election. A general election would involve the selection of representatives for different levels of government rather than focusing solely on the presidency. The commission emphasized that its planning continued to reflect their broader approach. These developments are taking place against a complex political backdrop. South Sudan continues to implement aspects of the peace agreement signed in 2018. At the same time, discussion continues regarding proposed amendment to election-related legislation and other political arrangements. Different political groups have expressed varying views on the way forward. Regional organizations and members of the international community have repeatedly encouraged dialogue and cooperation among the parties involved. Many South Sudanese citizens hope that political leaders will work together to create conditions that support peace, stability, and democratic progress. Meanwhile, First Vice President Dr. Machar remains in detention while facing legal proceedings related to separate charges. This development continues to attract both national and international attention. Well, if you are new to Changfied YouTube channel, I would like you to hit the channel by subscribing, turn on the notification bell, so whenever we upload a new video, you can be notified. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.